Now, Brett, on to the NFL. When on Thursday, you could be watching the Appalachian State game with college football. You could be watching the presidential debate. You won't be watching Game 3 of the World Series because they're taking a day break. Or you could be watching a rivalry matchup between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles in the race of who is the worst team in the worst division in football.
Who does Appalachian State play again?
Arkansas State?
Arkansas State, yeah. No, that's the answer. Yeah, so I guess sadly I'll be watching Giants Eagles because my fantasy team will depend on it. And I really like the spread here, Higgins. So I guess I'm going to bet on this thing, and I will be watching this Giants Eagles game. Look, I watched half of Jets Broncos. I can suck up this Giants Eagles. I'm ready for anything.
Hey, you watched half of Jets Broncos. I watched all of Jets Broncos, okay? So
Are
I could
you.
definitely watch all this.
Why are you. Why?
Because I had the Broncos.
Oh, well, okay, so I get it. So yeah, so you were in the percentage of the population that bet on the game and then had to sit through it. You're
Yes.
idiots.
Well, I'm going to be an idiot in this game as well
Me
because even though
too.
I'm a Giants fan, I'm already going to be watching the game, already stressed out. I decided, you know what? It's a rivalry game. Both of these teams' offenses have had a lot of struggles. Both of these teams have had difficulties keeping the other team from scoring the ball, though. And so I think that it's going to be back and forth, and I think it's going to be a close game. These rivalry games in division typically are field goal-ish type games, and so at plus 4.5, I just think that's good value on the Giants.
Yeah, I perfectly agree. The Eagles have shown me nothing to be more than a field goal favorite versus anyone, and that includes the New York Giants. So I guess the New York Giants at plus 4.5 are my pick too, because if I don't think the Eagles should be more than a field goal versus anyone, like, I mean, maybe the Jets, they could be more than a field goal, but that's about it. That's about it. The Giants can still move the ball a little bit. I think they're pretty well coached. Joe Judge has looked like he knows what he's doing on the sidelines, and that gives me enough confidence in them. Plus, they're 3-3 against the spread this year, so I'll take them.
Yeah, they're 3-3 against the spread this year. Let's forget about the 1-5, and we're just going to talk about against the spread records now, because that's what matters in the NFC East. They look a lot prettier. The Eagles 1-4-1. They're 2-4 against the spread. So if you're going to go by that, the Giants have played a little better. The Eagles definitely should be the favorites in this game. Even though the Giants are coming off their first win of the season, it was against Washington. It was a tough fought 20-19 game against another bad team, whereas the Eagles, they have two quality losses against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So I guess if you need to hear a reason to try to take that Philly minus 4.5, if you're listening out there trying to fade us, one, you should have noticed Brett and I are on the same side of this. So the pillars of Brett and Jake should never bet on the same line because we typically lose. You have that going for you. The other part is the Eagles only lost by 2 to Baltimore last week after a garbage time score. And even though the Pittsburgh Steelers had Chase Claypool score 4 touchdowns in that game, the Eagles are still able to put up 29 and only lost by 9. So two strong AFC North teams that the Eagles played relatively well against, but a loss is a loss.
Well, and I'm going to give you the third point is Lane Johnson's expected to play, and when Lane Johnson plays for the Eagles win. Only 3 losses in Lane Johnson's career as an Eagle, so the Eagles are much better when he's on the field. Now he's often injured. I want to say he had a steroid suspension at one point in his career as well, but when he is on the field, the Eagles are good. So Lane Johnson would give me a little pause, but winning doesn't mean they're going to win by more than 4.5, Higgins. So we could be good even in a Giants loss here.
Yes, I have a feeling Jake Elliott may be the bearer of bad news to the Giants like he has before. And if that's the case, that's within the spread, and I am happy.
Yeah, exactly. Go out there, Giants, and keep it close.
Keep it close. Everyone have fun.
Keep it close, have fun, stay healthy.
Break. Okay. Let's get
On
into our
three, on
Sunday
three.
games. Let's get into our Sunday games now, Brett. I mentioned the Steelers as a team that the Eagles recently played. This could very well actually be the game of the weekend on Sunday. Pittsburgh undefeated, 5 and 0, facing off against the Tennessee Titans, undefeated, 5 and 0. This is the game that was originally supposed to happen, but Tennessee had coronavirus cases and it had to get pushed, and you heard a lot of discontent from the Steelers having their bye week moved without them being to blame at all. So even though Pittsburgh is the slight underdog because they are on the road at +1 and +105 on the money line, even though Tennessee has looked very good since they have come back from the coronavirus, and A.J. Brown is now healthy, and Derrick Henry had an over 200-yard rushing game last week. The Pittsburgh Steelers should have an edge to want to beat the Titans in this because of them rearranging their schedule, because Pittsburgh was responsible and Tennessee, in their eyes, may not have been. Pittsburgh is going to go out and get this win in the battle between two undefeated teams. One team is going to be left standing undefeated, and it is going to be the Steelers. I am calling it +105 on the money line.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are, I've been saying, have been the best team in football through 6 weeks.
They're
And
good.
I'm a big fan of what they're doing. I am staying away from this one because the Devin Bush injury is going to be an impact. It's going to be their first full game without their middle linebacker. He's a stud. I expect them to find a replacement for him, either on the trade market, maybe try and get creative, bring in like a hybrid safety kind of player. Um, I mean, they already have probably the best one in Minka Fitzpatrick, but you never know. They've had so much success with him. Maybe they find another one. But outside of that injury, Higgins, I think the Steelers do come away with this one because like I've said, they've got Juju doing almost nothing. They've been riding the Claypool wave. They've found ways to get the offense working. The defense has looked pretty strong. Now, you mentioned the Eagles game where they allowed the Eagles to come back late, but the Eagles were never in it.
Hmm.
It's just a score thing for betters. But watching the game, the Eagles were never in it. So they've put these games away, and I like that Steelers pick a lot. That just got to play devil's advocate a little bit for all our listeners. The Devin Bush injury does concern me in this one.
It does. Maybe they should take Derek Watt, who's listed as questionable right now, at the fullback position. Has some brothers who are familiar with playing an
Defense.
outside linebacker, defensive end type role. I'm sure there's a little bit of shared family
I bet
knowledge
he's
there.
hit someone once or twice in that family. Like, I'm
I
just
think so.
guessing you've probably hit someone before.
It obviously not equivalent to Devin Bush, not the same type of player, obviously, but might be able to fill in a spot if needed to. I'm sure he's got some family ties at defense. It translates over a little bit. Well, I am on another game, Brett, in the NFL on Sunday. At least as of right now. I'll probably find some more on Sunday by Sunday. But the only other game that spoke to me from this slate was the 49ers versus Patriots game. The over-under is set at 43.5, and kind of like with that Notre Dame-Pittsburgh line I mentioned with college football, this over-under to me just seems suspiciously low, especially when you consider Jimmy Garoppolo is now back with San Fran. Cam Newton came back with New England. I understand they played a weird game last week against Denver, but it's the Mile High Stadium. It's Denver. It's really weird sometimes. Sorry, that game was played in New England. But 18-12, that offense is going to be refocused. 49ers scored 24 points on their own, so if New England can get 3 touchdowns, that covers it. 43.5, it's just too low. Take the over.
Yeah, I don't have a concrete bet in this one, but I am leaning San Francisco +2. the line was a little surprising for me because
Hmm.
San Francisco's played two East Coast games while they were very beat up. And now, granted, they were against the Jets and Giants, but San Francisco was playing their B team in those games, and they were the dominant team in both of them. So normally, I'm a little worried in the West to East Coast travel thing, but in this one, it doesn't even scare me at all. And New England did not look good last week against Denver, and I
Or the
think
week before against Kansas City.
or the week before against Kansas City, but that's Kansas City. Everyone looks good against everyone. No one looks good against Kansas City, um, but
Except the Raiders.
well, actually, you know what? That's a fair point. The Raiders look great. But the 49ers in this one being 2-point dogs, I honestly could make the argument they should be favorites in this one. So I'm leaning toward the points here. San Francisco +2. Not ready to make that bet. Not telling you to go make that bet on Thursday like I am with Alabama either. So just hold your horses there. But over 43.5, certainly reasonable. I expect the Patriots offense to be better than last week.
Yeah, the 49ers and Patriots defenses are both very notable, so that does scare me with this over-under, but I think the 49ers having gotten healthy, having a week under their belt with their quarterback back with them, I expect they'll respond with a better offensive production than 24 points. I think they'll get more than just 3 touchdowns, and we'll see how the Patriots respond after that brutal loss to Denver where Bill Belichick had to rip that team apart afterwards, I would imagine. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably have some other Sunday picks, though, that I'll give out on our Instagram, though.